Everyone, welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs. Specs Wines and Spirits and Finer Foods has been a Texas family-owned destination for selection and savings since 1962. It's your one-stop shop with literally thousands of wines, spirits, and beers every day at lower prices. All right, today on the Rewind, Nick, tell me if this is a fair assessment. It was a show with literally everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
We opened up with college football talk, teams that can make the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs this past year, and A&M was discussed in it. We did some softball on the show. We did some volleyball on the show. I mean, we did Aggie women's the dance team on the show. We did Aggie men's tennis. We did it all. So, what was your favorite part of the show? And I ask you why.
I'm gonna go Amanda Scarborough. I always like her, or having her on and getting her take, especially from a national perspective. She's more plugged into the softball world than anybody.
Reed Neal at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Your favorite part of the program was?
So I think overall, my favorite part was OB. Yeah, I think he's just on his best behavior today.
But what about OB specifically?
Him and Josh Pate were good.
Together.
Yeah, I liked
it.
So
I wasn't good in the Josh Pate interview.
No, you're always great.
No, I feel like you're telling me OB outshined you.
Well, I just need to give him some credit. Sometimes he feels bad, I feel like.
Oh, that's a good point. So we did. We had Josh Pate on the show. We had Amanda Scarborough on the show. We had Aggies in the pros. Luke Evangelist tried to do a April Fool's joke on me, which was terrible. Hey, breaking news. Nick comes on. Breaking news. The Texans traded CJ. It was stupid. All right, but the show was good. I hope you like it. Tell me afterwards. Watch it. Teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that could make the playoffs, and maybe it's A&M on your list. Maybe it's not. I was going to throw you a couple teams, but you want to throw one at me?
I don't think it's out of the question that A&M could get that. Now I understand that A&M has a steep hill to climb, but my contention is that, and I've stayed on this, that A&M is going to average between 30 and 35 points a game. And I still think the schedule is favorable, even if you have to go on the road some. So if they can plug some holes on defense, I think it's not out of the question on A&M.
Okay.
But that's a big if on plugging those holes on defense.
So I'm going to throw you some teams that didn't make it last year.
Okay.
That I think you can make an argument for that they will make it this year. I haven't looked at their schedules tightly.
Right.
I just kind of looked at some of the situations. Okay.
Yeah.
Alabama.
Oh, Alabama's always a.
They get Ryan Grubb as their offensive coordinator.
Are they in if they don't blow one at Oklahoma last year?
Yep. They get Ryan Grubb. Ty Simpson probably fits the Kalen DeBoer system better. Ty Simpson fits the system better. There you go.
Yeah.
I think he probably fits it better.
Maybe they'll call him Ty System. Ty System.
There we go. Opening up with Florida State. Florida State's an interesting team. Not that they're going to make the playoffs, but they have to be significantly better.
Yeah, that's a win. Monroe's a win.
Wisconsin.
That's a win.
At Georgia? Nah.
Who knows?
Who knows Georgia? You're right. Vandy?
But I'll say a loss since it's on the road.
Okay.
Vandy, I think they shot their shot last year. So that's a win.
At Missouri?
That's a win. I think Missouri's going to be a shell of itself. Tennessee, it's a rivalry game. At South Carolina, that could be a loss, even though South Carolina's defense isn't going to be what it was last year. LSU, it could be a loss. Oklahoma, they'll get revenge. Eastern Illinois, what are we talking about? Auburn's going to be better, but Alabama's still better. So
at worst, 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah. Tell me, if from top of your head, why is LSU, Auburn, Missouri,
Notre Dame,
Florida going to be better?
Let's see. Auburn, because they can't get worse in one-score games and turnovers. This would be the general consensus, is what I'm telling you. Notre Dame, I don't know that there's a thought they would be better. They just played in the national championship game. Who else? LSU, as you guys both know, anytime you return a quarterback, the entire world just assumes you get 20% better. Now, I don't want to sound hypocritical because I am pretty high on LSU this year. So I think I may fall in line with general consensus there, but Olin, it would not be for me simply because Garrett Nussmeier's back. I think they found themselves on the precipice of being in some pretty significant depth chart related issues, and they got after it in the portal pretty good. And I don't mean like Florida State last cycle where they brought in guys that could be good. I think they went and got some proven guys that could be really good. So I would say that about LSU. Who else did you throw at me there?
I
hit
said
three of them.
I said Missouri and Florida.
Missouri, they got the tailback out of ULM, I believe, to pair with the quarterback out of, I think it was Maryland or wherever. They're hoping, they're banking on transfer portal, and they're also banking on being Missouri, which, if you're unfamiliar with the SEC, means nobody pays attention to them this time of year. I mean, have you heard a single spring practice update from Columbia, Missouri? Of course you haven't. No one has. So they just kind of exist up there in isolation and then hope they've got a favorable schedule, which they do. And they all of a sudden are 6 weeks in and everyone's saying, ooh, you know who a sleeper is? Missouri. Missouri's a sleeper. But I don't know. There's so much variance, I guess, baked into the cake with every team you just listed. Maybe aside from LSU, who I'm pretty confident will be good, that I don't know. They could be 500 or 10-2.
Yeah, since you mentioned LSU, which you don't know this, I keep up with them a lot because my son goes there. He's a student there. Okay, I understand, they transfer portal receivers, everything, but what about that offensive line when you lose two guys at your tackles who are NFL player, maybe one's a first-round draft choice, maybe both, and I can't think of the other kid's name. He's a guard that did real well at the Senior Bowl.
Yep, I'd be terrified about it. In fact, I'd say 9 times out of 10, just as a college team in general, if that's you, if you just described me as a college team, I'd be terrified by it. The one thing I would say about LSU, because I've actually kept an eye on that, is I feel, I would say, fairly confident to very confident on the 0 to 10 scale that they've backfilled those positions.
Baseball is not my sport. We can all admit that. But I do love opening day. And then I'll start watching again when it gets closer to the playoffs. But I do enjoy opening day. And some Aggies were I'm getting a call from my financial advisor. I thought that said Billy Lucci for a second.
You're not Agent Wojnarowski. You're not Ian Rappaport.
I'm sorry, I saw a B.
You don't need to be looking at your phone. You're not Billy Lucci during the segment.
Billy did call me a couple times yesterday, so
He's the only one you glanced at.
I'm
Everybody
sorry,
else,
I saw a B. Let me get back to it.
You saw a what?
A B.
Go ahead.
Okay. How about the Seattle Mariners and Bryce Miller? He played against the Oakland A's. He did end up getting a loss, but he went 5 2/3 inning. Had 6 hits, 3 errors, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Michael Wacha and the Kansas City Royals lost to the Cleveland Guardians, and he went 4 innings. Had 4 hits, 1 error, 4 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And A.J. Minter was really the only one with a positive outing. He only had 1 inning of work, but no hits, no earned runs, only 1 walk and 1 strikeout against your Houston Astros.
That's okay. I root for Aggies first.
Absolutely. Let's get to the NBA, which is easily the most exciting league for Aggies and the pros. Caruso and the Thunder.
Do you know our audience?
Yes, I do. And that's why I'm going to start pushing Aggies in the NBA propaganda because I love basketball.
Oh, I hear this. People changing the station. Go ahead.
No, I think people are actually turning it up. I hear people.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
They're turning
John
it
of Cyprus text in 3, 2, 1. Go.
Yeah, what's that? Let's see. Let's read that text message. Nobody cares about the NBA. LeBron worse than Michael Jordan.
Well, that part's true.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, the Thunder, if you haven't been paying any attention in the NBA, Caruso was clearly the missing piece for the Thunder. They're 14.5 games up on the Rockets. They're 63-12. Caruso's averaging 6.9 points per game, almost 3 rebounds per game, and over 1.5 steals per game. But the main star of the Aggies and the pros that we have to hit on is Quentin Jackson being a part of NBA history last week. The Pacers are 4th in the Eastern Conference. Q's on that 2-way contract. So he gets to be the leading scorer for their G League affiliate. And then also he's played in 24 NBA games. But the big one was last week, and they were playing the Wizards. The score was a lot to a little, kind of what would happen if you and I played basketball.
Right.
The Wizards were up 159-109, trying to break their record.
159-109?
Yes, trying to break their record for most points scored in a game, in an NBA game by their franchise. And guess who had the record-breaking bucket?
Well, if you're asking me, and it's April Fool's, you're going to tell the truth because it's Quentin Jackson.
Yes, it was Quentin Jackson.
How about the way this A&M softball team has started the season? 31-5, their best start since 2017. What is something that stood out when you watched this version of Trisha Ford's team play? What stands out to you?
I just think that they're hard to beat. That's definitely something that stands out. And I know that with their record. That might sound like a cliche, but all too often I see teams fall behind because, I call a lot of games. I follow a lot of softball. I see teams fall behind and they get down and never come back. And I just feel like watching this team, they always feel like they're in it. They don't panic. They're solid in all parts of their game. And I feel like this team really likes each other. They like to play together. You can see that with how tough they are to beat. And again, that's hard to come by. You see teams get down and not find ways to claw back in because maybe something's going on in the background. I don't know. But this team, they just seem solid in every single part of the game, from in the dugout to in the circle to on defense to the way that they hit to the way that they just like each other.
We get Trish in studio once a week, and I'm always blown away by how relatable she is, yet focused and knows how to push the right buttons. What are some of the things that you see from afar? Like, wow, she knows what she's doing.
Just the way that she's balancing the pitching staff around Emily Kennedy this year and not having the full staff available for every single weekend. She's had to figure out ways to make that work seemingly effortless. You'd never know from the outside looking in that maybe at times the full staff hasn't been available and they just keep moving forward. So I think that the depth of the pitching staff and is what stands out to me. And then shuffling around the lineup too. I mean, the way that they've moved Coco down in the lineup recently and put Kennedy Powell as a leadoff and just tried to see which pieces are going to work where offensively. I love Coco in that 5-hole and Kennedy Powell leading off and Amari Harper, shuffling around the lineup to just figure out what's going to work the best with this team and the pieces that she has.
Yeah, I love watching her work behind the scenes. I love when I get to talk to her. How about Maya Perez? All right, so last year she comes in and there's expectations, but there's some great players in front of her. She has come in and gotten a hit in 32 out of 34 games. She's just been phenomenal. What have you seen from the young player?
She's just really good. And I think that swing in super regionals in Austin at the end of last year that, ended A&M season. But for her, I felt like her coming in with that pinch hit, home run, forgot which game it was at this point, but it was just the home run really heard around the world of softball.
All right, Reed, I know I can't tell you to do a voice. I know I can't tell you to say something random, but I can ask you, why do you have 112 stickers on your MacBook?
I have about 5.
That's a lot.
Do you want to know that? I don't even know.
So tattoos, was there a story behind them all?
Yeah, that's a fishing tournament my dad fishes in.
All right.
And then that's a random hot sauce brand that
Okay, that's random.
I got us. And then Yeti is just...
As you are telling us what to do, Kayla, can you run across again? Tell the people what to do.
Make sure and text the Zone hotline. It makes my job a lot easier. Comment on YouTube and on the TexAgs website.
You just told her to go again as we're closing out. You guys suck. See you next time.